Hey everyone, I thanks for joining again. I want to inform you guys, update you guys on the progress from 160 to $1,000, and it's actually been going well. This week's been better than last week. I'll give you guys some insight. Even though in the Discord I've been literally sharing all of my trade ideas. I'm still gonna share with you guys, my insight on how this week went. Um, I would say over this past week, the main things that I've learned is last week was patience. I think this week is gonna be about, I want to say, I want to say reassurance. So talk more about that once I start sharing, sharing my screen. But until then, I'll start with the quote. Quote of the day is by Mark Douglas, and it's in the market environment, you have to, you have to make the rules to the game and then have the discipline to abide by these rules, even though the markets move in ways that will constantly tempt you into believing you don't need to follow your rules this time. So, what that means is believing in yourself, believing in your edge, and don't, once you enter your trade, stick to your trade idea unless you have a valid reason to think otherwise. So, you have a valid reason to think, hey, maybe this trade actually wasn't so good of idea because maybe the higher time frame is actually indicating XYZ. So, um, I'll get more into reassurance, like I said, because I think reassurance is something that I want to touch base on because over this past week, my adversity was the fact that I just had to keep reassuring myself to stay in trades where I thought maybe it didn't make sense, but then again, I had to reevaluate the situation and say, hey, well, if, you know, higher time frame still indicates XYZ, then that must mean we are bearish or we are bullish, right? Vice versa. So yeah, that's what I think about from the quote. Let me know, you guys in the comments what you guys think about that quote. And I am happy to look out for what you guys, thoughts are. Going forward, what I'll do is share my screen. I will share with you guys the trade ideas that I've took. I'm actually actively in about 3 or 4 different trades. So I'm gonna start sharing my screen now and should be able to see it now. So here's my trade idea that I got on AUD CAD. So AUD CAD, probably up about 1 to 1 or 1 to almost 2, right? And this is a 1 to 3 trade. So not only that, I'll put this at the bottom, USD CHF. I'm in this for sell. So I entered around here, and this should be a 1 to 6 or close to a 1 to 7. I am not in US 30, so I'm gonna uncheck that. I was, but I took an L. I'm actively in a CAD JPY trade, which is up about maybe 1 to 1 right now. I'm also in a gold trade. So I accidentally clicked that. So I'm in this gold trade. I entered here and I'm up the most on gold, out of all the trades that I'm in. GBP JPY, this was didn't get a opportunity to enter, so I just entered on CAD JPY. I think if you're in a JPY pair, just stick to it. Whatever JPY pair that you choose, just stick to it. And I would just say don't overcomplicate, going for a sell on, CAD JPY and then a buy on GBP JPY like I did this past week. That's what I learned. So I learned, uh, which is a lesson that I've learned before. But I think and I even shared that my exit in the Discord. So even when I'm taking trades, I'm also gonna tell you guys, hey, I exited because XYZ. You know what I'm saying? Just sharing my insight. But I'll be like, yeah, I took profit instead of waiting for it to take my profit. I took profit, right? So I share those ideas in the Discord. So join the free Discord. Link is in the bio. GBP NZD. And okay, so I did not take anything here mainly because I was waiting for price to drop back down to this area so that we can buy, but it didn't. So we pretty much avoided that not avoided that, just didn't get the opportunity. And then AUD CAD, I'm probably up 1 to 2 or 1 to 1, almost 2. This is a 1 to 3 trade idea. So that's how everything is right now. As you can see, if we were to quickly look over Trade Locker, you can see that the account's equity is at 193. But if it wasn't for, the profit, we'd be at a balance of about 125, which obviously means if we look at the positions, closed positions, that obviously means this week we're down negative 53. So if I were to say, hey, let me close out at $68, we'd be in profit if I were to close all these trades right here. Or not these trades, but positions. All these trades right here. Up 48 on gold, up $11 on AUD CAD. I got two positions open for USD CHF, and then this AUD or CAD JPY trade for $8 that I'm up in profit. So that's where we're at right now. Um, Obviously the spreads right now are like huge. Like I don't like the spreads, but that's because the market closed. So hopefully as soon as Sunday markets open, around 5, 6, 7 o'clock, the spreads shorten and then hopefully we just rally straight into our take profit for all of our trades. Obviously it doesn't uh, happen all the time that way, but I'm open to holding trades, as you can see, because I've already accepted the position as a swing trader. And obviously, to understand the definition of a swing trader is typically a trader who holds trades for more than 24 hours, right? Typically, or maybe more than 24 to 48 hours, but less than 12 months. Because once you reach the threshold of over 12 months, then that's considered, I believe, an investor. So I'm okay. I've already accepted the risk for all of these trades. I've also accepted the time equity, right? The time equity that I'm investing, which is I'm gonna set my positions here, and then if it takes 7 days, that's totally fine. If it takes 14 days to hit my take profit, that's also totally fine. The take profit that I am looking to potentially get from gold is like the most because if we look at this gold trade right here, look at my entry, guys. So my entry to take profit, my entry was literally, I don't know why that even like happened just now, but my entry was literally right here once price got there, and this is the 1 hour candlesticks. Once price got to my area of interest, I bought, stop loss below this low, and this is a 1 to 24. I believe price should come and create a higher high. So this is a 1 to 24 risk to reward. And if we can get there, I believe we're at a take profit of about 200 and I think $11 on just this one trade. I think with all else, other trades, the equity should be about 3 to 400, right? Between 3 to 400 if this all hits. If it doesn't all hit and we get maybe one, two out of it, then we're still going to be profitable or should be profitable. As long as I don't, exit for whatever reason. But yeah, moral of the story. This is my TradeZella account. I refreshed it. And as you can see, I didn't do as bad as last week. I did better than last week. Last week lost over $200. This week, 26 plus 9 plus, obviously you already seen it, but 2 plus 13. I just want to show you guys that it matches up. About 60 bucks lost this week. So we're becoming a better loser, which is obviously the start, right? We're becoming a better loser. Now, with us becoming a better loser, we're gonna start seeing our equity curve start to start to go up. So you see how we have a downtrend, downtrend, downtrend. We're going to start seeing some type of uptrend or not downtrend. Obviously, it's an uptrend, not a downtrend. So it's a slope. Right now, the slope is from up all the way up here, down, 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 down. Obviously, there were some peaks here. So the most that I lost after that was 224. This was 220, 285. 205, went back up 224. So from here to 224 to 131. So we're moving up as we go and throughout the year since January, since I started. And it's getting interesting, right? But yeah, I mean, I would, for me to clarify what I mean by reassurance is reassurance would be, let's say if the market, I would say what happened. Which trade idea can I speak on for reassurance? Uh, Here. Maybe this one. Price dropped into my area of interest. It closed above here. I was, waiting for price to come back. I didn't see any imbalance, right? I didn't on a 15-minute time frame. I'm looking for some imbalance. Didn't see any imbalance. So I was a bit hesitant to taking it, but I'm like, I gotta follow my market structure. Market structure is way more important than the imbalance, excuse me, that, most traders nowadays are looking for. So market structure is important. Market structure beats imbalance, which is why I still decided to stick to my rules and enter where um around the 50% of the market structure. And lo and behold, you can see price started going in my favor, which is why we're around a 1-to-1 profit right now, aiming for about a 1-to-3. So that is CAD JPY. And if I click on CAD JPY, you can see I did exactly that, entered after the market structure shift within 50% of the market structure. And now this is where we're at. So reassuring yourself that your system, your edge is a profitable solution and just trust yourself. So I'd say trust yourself, and trusting yourself helps with your reassurance when it comes to knowing or believing in the direction, right? The directional bias. So of whether you think the market would buy or sell. So that's what I would you know, put out there. Now, I mean, I really don't really have much else to say. Um, hmm, I'm thinking if I should mark up for this next week, because I mean, if I already I'm not thinking of going in any other trades because I'm already in like four different trades, so it wouldn't really make sense for me to flood my brain to have thoughts on, other situations. I do have enough discipline not to, trade, but it's like, I mean, let's say if Euro JPY were to come back, I would say, hey, let's do, 50% of here. I mean, this is a 4-hour time frame. I would say, look, there's some 4-hour imbalance here. Let's get some push down here so that we can push price back up and create a higher high. I mean, that's one thing I'd focus on. GBP USD 4-hour time frame looks like kind of looks like the daily's still bullish. Look at the 4-hour. 4-hour seems bullish, right? So if price is gonna drop, I would probably say if the we look for something around here. So I'd say we get a reason to buy somewhere around here. If we do get a reason to buy somewhere around here, stop loss below, and then we target for a new high. That would give us, it depends. But this is what I would obviously, go for. And just because higher time frame indicates we're looking to push higher. So I would definitely do that. GBP AUD. It looks like, let's look at the daily. Okay, so the daily kind of looks like this is the low and this is the high. So we're bullish overall. What about the 4 hour? What is the 4 hour telling us? Okay, so the 4 hour is telling us that we're probably bearish. So I would probably assume that we're going to create a lower low, but at the same time, it low key does seem like we shifted from bearish to bullish. So I would probably say here, right? And if we're overall bullish, probably say, hey, look, we can, if we get something that comes down to here, this is GBP AUD, probably target this high right here. Because the daily is bullish, 4 hours bullish as well. Maybe we might create a higher high. That can give us a round of 1 to 10 maybe. I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm not really interested, right? But I'll put an alert. I'll put an alert, right? NZD USD. Daily is bullish. Looks like consolidation to me. This, I went over this last week and I entered it and I exited because I just didn't have a strong feeling about it. It would have given us a 1 2, I think this is around a 1 to 2 so far, but and I entered literally around here, but I just didn't have a good feeling. And if you go based on your intuition, it's good to go based on your intuition, right? If you're getting all the confluence, but something just doesn't sit right with you, then just sit out. Like, just sit out. At the same time, though, you don't want to do that too often because then you're gonna really leave a lot of money on the table. And if your system shows, I think just literally putting yourself out there, maybe risking less than you normally do, is at least going to help you uh take a little bit more of those type of trades where you have bad intuition. Um, a little bit more often you can accept those trades so that you're not just leaving 100% of your money on the table. Obviously, just because we know 100 shots are missed or something like that if you don't take them, I think. Um, Daily time frame. Okay, so I would say that daily 4 hour time frame for one is I would I would agree that we're now bullish, right? But on the daily time frame, I would say that we're also bullish. So if I were to take this trade, I'd have my alert set here. I'd say, hey, where has price been? I'd say price has often been around this area on the daily time frame. What about the 4 hour time frame? I'd say we've got a good amount of wicks right here, but price right here has rejected a lot. So I would say price should dip around this level. And if we get price here, let's say I'm looking for a high, then I'm definitely going to target here for a new high. That's what I would suggest. Next, AUD, NZD. So we're now bullish on the 4 hour. And we would have literally been barely in profit if we were to take this trade. I didn't take the trade, but next is GBP CHF. And I would say, I mean, it's decent right here. I don't really like this trade, so I'm gonna move on. And the Nasdaq, I'm moving on. I really didn't spend any time at all on US 30 and Nasdaq because I don't like how it's been trading. It's typically been consolidating, in my opinion. because I look at the higher time frame. So I didn't even trade. I don't think I traded Nasdaq or US 30 this week. I legit don't think I did. And if I did, then I took like a L earlier in the week. Like, let's check. Nas. Okay, so I took Nas earlier this week, but other than that, I did not. Oh, US 30, I took it Tuesday. Other than that, I didn't trade it at all after Monday, Tuesday. It's been so long since I've even looked at that pair this week. Euro USD. So let's see. I wanted to take this trade, but I didn't. And I did take this trade and I didn't get stopped out. I texted in the group chat, hey, I'm gonna exit this because the 4 hour time frame went bearish. And as you can see, I was trading this time frame because of the 4 hour time frame, but once it went bearish, that's when I was like, you know what, this doesn't make sense. I'm gonna go ahead and close out because price, right? When price was at this point, price on the 4 hour time frame was still bullish. It was still considered bullish. But once price came back and retraced and closed this candle, closed, that's when price became bearish. So that's why I said, hey guys, in the Discord, we should, or I'm exiting this trade because it just doesn't make sense anymore for me to, because there's more buyers in the market now. Then that's when, if I stayed in it, then I would have got stopped out. So this is how you can preserve your capital. So it's so that you can minimize the amount of risk that you have on trades if they no longer are in your favor before hitting stop loss. Because there's still times where you can consider a trade uh as still having belief in the trade versus losing faith in the trade to where it makes sense not to trade anymore because there are times where the opposing market does come into, you know, and this in the market. And this trade on Bitcoin, it was a good trade until, it, tanked, right? It definitely tanked. Um, the reason why I exited was because I seen that there was so much more imbalance to fill out, and I just kept on seeing rejection from the upside. Now, kept on like something told me to exit, so I was just like, you know what, guys, we should. I think I either said we should also exit this trade. If not, then price must have just hit my stop loss on this candle, which is fine. I didn't risk much anyways. It would have been a high reward though. Would have made at least $100 on this trade. So being that I do anticipate for price to come into this location and have an uptick, what I'll what I'll say is I'm gonna put an alert here. Once price drops below, I'm gonna look for a shift somewhere on the lower time frame, and then hopefully, we're gonna aim for a we're gonna aim for something like maybe something like this and target this high right here. Because overall the daily is still bullish and overall the 4 hour time frame is still bullish as well. So I hope you guys understand that part. Um Honestly, before I commit to that statement of saying the 4 hour is bullish, I might honestly disagree with that statement. Um Mainly because the structure is here on the 4 hour time frame. This is the structure. And if price came up here, then that means we should have went to maybe 15 and could have sold somewhere around here and targeted the low. So I honestly don't even think this would be a good idea to trade. I'll remove these alerts because it does get confusing, and I really like to just focus on trades that seem obvious, not the ones that seem more confusing than obvious. So I'll sit that one out. There are still a couple ones where I would consider for this week. There's also a few trades that I am actively in. So join the Discord. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like, comment, subscribe, and comment what you think about the quote that I shared with you guys today. Then that's pretty much it. And thank you guys for watching. 160 to 1,000 is, what we're aiming for right now. So I appreciate you guys for staying this long and watching. Um, I'm not sure when I'm gonna hit the 1,000, but I'm for sure going to hit the 1,000. It's just a matter of when. But who knows, where we're gonna end the week off next week. Um, Stay tuned. That's all I can say. Thank you guys for watching and enjoy your weekend.